Hello students, welcome to CMI's online classes, and this video is for class 9, chapter number 7, diversity in living organisms. So this is the second part of the chapter. In our first part, we talked about what do you mean by diversity, then why do we need to study different organisms, how we can study those organisms. So that was by classification. Then classification according to various topics, the size, the color, the fooding habits, etc. Then we talked about the hierarchy of living organism. We have Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So in this session we will talk about different types of plants. That means classification of plant and its other forms. So let's start the topic. Okay, so as already discussed that plants have two types of, first it has been divided into two forms. Number one, the plants that do not have differentiated body parts. Only single body is there, they are not differentiated, and that is called thallophyte. Then we have differentiated body parts, and these differentiated body parts has also been divided into two groups. Number one, without vascular system, we'll talk about that later, and another one with vascular tissue. And without vascular tissue, we have an example, bryophyte. And with vascular tissue, again it has been divided into two groups. Number one, which do not produce seed, and they are called cryptogams, and the example is pteridophyte. Another one which produce seed, they are called phanerogams. Okay, and they also are divided into two groups. Means number one, bear naked seed, that means the seed are naked. The seed coats are not covered, their seeds are not covered. Example is Gymnosperm. And another one where the seeds are covered, Angiosperms. And in Angiosperms also we have two divisions. Number one is with one cotyledon, that means coated only once, that means single seed, and they are called monocot seed. And another one is two cotyledons, that means dicot. So here mono means one and di means two. Okay, so this was the flow chart of classification of plants. So let's talk in a detailed way. So as we know, plants has been divided into 5 groups: thallophyta, bryophyta, pteridophyta, angiosperm and gymnosperms. So let's talk about thallophyte. So in this group, the plants do not have well differentiated body parts. The plants are algae. That means algae is a good example of thallophyte. They are mostly aquatic. That means they live on water bodies. Example, we have Spirogyra, Cladophora, Eurothrix, Cara. These are all microscopic plants, and that can only be studied through microscope. Then we have Bryophyte. In this group, the plant's body is differentiated. So in Thallophyta, plant body is not differentiated, and in Bryophyta, plant's body is differentiated into stems and leaf-like structure, but there are no specialized structure for conduction of water and other substances from one part of the plant body to other. Okay, that means they don't have some functions. They can't perform some functions. They have been differentiated, but they can't perform functions. As we can see in higher plants, they perform the functions like in the form of conduction by the process of we have xylem and phloem, etc. Okay, so these plants are called the amphibians of the plant kingdom. Why they are called amphibians? Because they mostly depend on water, okay, but they reside in or they develop in land also. Example moss, that is Funaria, Marchantia, Riccia. So these are all the examples of bryophyte bryophyte plants. Okay. Then let's move towards another part, that is pteridophyte. In this group, the plant body is differentiated into roots, stems and leaves, and has vascular tissue for conducting water and other substances from one part of the plant body to another. Okay, so as we discuss what do you mean by vascular tissue. So what do you mean by vascular tissue? So this tissue helps the plant to perform various activities. As for example, let's take an example of a plant, simple plant. Okay, so plants prepare the food, or they consume from other sources, but how that food is transported from one or the where it is made to other parts of the plant. So that type of activity is conducted by these tissues, and as I told, xylem and phloem is the best example of higher plants for conducting these type of activities. So we are talking about pteridophyta. They are of lower groups. Okay, so example we have ferns and marsupial. Ferns. Okay, ferns means it is a plant in which they can't prepare the food, but they consume food from the decayed organic matters of the ground. Okay, here you can see the figure. That means they depend on other plants, other higher plants. They are attached to some other wet plants or wet trees. Then we have marsupial. Okay, it is small plants. They don't have most complex function. Only they have root, stem and leaves. Okay, so this was all about pteridophyte. Now let's move towards gymnosperm. What do you mean by gymnosperm? They are also called cryptograms. Okay, the plants of these groups bear naked seed. What do you mean by naked seed? That means they don't have, the seeds are not covered with some epidermis. Okay, or the layer. So gymno means naked and sperma means seed. So they are usually perennial. Perennial means they have what you can say, that means they live for many years. Okay, that means more than 2 years, and they are evergreen, means they grow throughout the year and are woody. Okay, example we have pines. Okay, pine means what you say, pine tree. Mostly we can find that type of plants in a hilly region or mountainous region. Okay, and they are evergreen and they are mostly formed of wood. Okay, means they are in good mass. Okay, then we have ficus. Okay, so ficus plants are also gymnospermic plant, and we can look at a figure and we can see that these seeds are naked. Okay, these they don't have any coverings in themselves. Okay, then we will move towards another part, that is angiosperm. Angiosperms are also called phanerogams. Okay, and the plants of this group bears covered seed, as I already told you. Okay, the seeds are covered. So, and simply, if we divide the term angio and sperm, as we divide the term gymno and sperm means seed and angio means coverings, and in gymno without cover or naked. Okay, so they are also called flowering plants, and all other four forms of plants, they don't perform flowers, they lack flowers. In Bryophyta also there were no flowers, in Pteridophyta also there were no flowers, and in Gymnosperm also there was no flowers. But in angiospermic plants, okay, flowers are present. We can see the flower. The plant's embryo is in the seed have cotyledons. Cotyledons means coverings. Okay, so we will talk about cotyledons also. So in a simply way, we can say that all other forms of plants in a plant flowchart, they lack flowers, but in angiosperm flowers are present. So angiosperms are divided into again two groups on the basis of the number of cotyledons. Cotyledons means seeds. Okay, so plants with seeds having single cotyledon are called monocots. That means they have single cot. Mono means one, cot means seed. Okay, that means one seed. And the examples are rice, wheat, maize, etc. Okay, even green gram, peas, tamarind also are monocot plants or monocot, they have monocot seed. Okay, so what do you mean by monocot? If you see a rice, a wheat, the cotyledons are in a single seed. Just take example of wheat only. If you see the wheat, the seed of the wheat, the dana or maize, we will see a single cot. They don't have cot. They have only one cot. That is called monocotyledons. And what do you mean by tamarind? Imli. Seed of imli plant is called tamarind. Okay, so then let's move towards dicot. What do you mean by dicot seeds? So plants with seeds having two cotyledons are called dicots. That means they have two cots. That's why they are called dicots. So this terminology, monocot and dicot, just forget cots. Just say mono and di. So mono, we can say that mono means single and di means two. Okay, so I have two cotyledons. Examples are green gram, peas, tamarind. Okay, so the three are the examples of dicot seed. And monocot seed, example rice, wheat and maize. So we have a figure here. You can see the figure. The upper part is called endosperm, then cotyledons, then epicotyle, hypocotyles are there, radicals, seed coat to fuse ovary wall. That means from this seed coat only plant, a baby plant, a seedling plant grows. Then we have the development of the plants. Okay, how plants develop. You can see the figure. So this was all about different types of plants or the kingdom of plants. Okay, so we talked about different types of plants. In our next class we will talk about animals, different form of animals. Till then, goodbye.